Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are doing a book review. Like I said before, I wanted to create a community where we help each other grow, both physically with our objectives and mentally with our objectives. So the book that I have chosen is 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do. Not sure if you can see the cover because the lighting is a bit bright, but there you go, that's the cover. Please forgive me, my book is a little bit tattered. That's because it's a book that I continuously go back to again and again. Now, this book is something that I picked up when I felt like, okay, I am not progressing in life, and whenever something bad would happen, or not even like really negative that would happen in my life, but just like the mildest inconvenience, I would go into my room and like I would sulk on my bed, or I would like have these negative patterns running in my head about, oh, how come this has not worked out for me, or I'm not going to try this ever again, I'm not going to do that. So like literally I would just be in a cycle of negative thinking, and then it always starts off negatively and then it kind of ends positively because my mind is a little bit like odd that way. And then at the end I would think I need to be more strong in my head so that if something goes wrong, I am not, dismissive right away of whatever plan or idea that I had just because of the mildest or smallest inconvenience. So I found this book. I just did a Google search, honestly, on books on mental well-being, and I found this book, and I'm really, really glad that I read it. So I'm gonna just say, I'm obviously not gonna read the book, but I'm just gonna say what the contents are of the book, and that's like how I start every book. Obviously, I read the synopsis at the back to see if it's good and if it's something that I would be interested in, if it would captivate my interest, and then I look at the contents once I've got the books to see like, okay, what's going on. So this book kicked my butt without me even reading it, because the first chapter of this book, after the introduction and everything, is called They Don't Waste Time Feeling Sorry for Themselves. And immediately when I read the title of the first chapter, I just closed the book and I just put it down, because in that moment I was feeling sorry for myself, about how my life was going and where I wanted it to be and why it wasn't where it was. And I read the title and I was like, well, okay, this book just chose violence today. And I didn't read it until the following day. But I'm happy that I did read it. So yeah, the first chapter is called They Don't Waste Time Feeling Sorry for Themselves. And I'm just going to read the titles of all the chapters. So chapter 2 is They Don't Give Away Their Power. They Don't Shy Away from Changes. Chapter 3. Chapter 4 is They Don't Focus on Things They Can't Control. Chapter 5 is They Don't Worry About Pleasing Everyone. 6 is They Don't Fear Taking Calculated Risks. 7 is They Don't Dwell in the Past. 8 is They Don't Make the Same Mistakes over and over. 9, They Don't Resent Other People's Success. 10, They Don't Give Up After the First Failure. 11, They Don't Fear Alone Time. 12, They Don't Feel the World Owes Them Anything. And 13, They Don't Expect Immediate Results. So I found this book really, really well, the way Amy Morin wrote it, because I could read one chapter per day and feel like really fulfilled. Like what I tend to do with books about mental strength or about mental well-being is not try to read everything all at once, because then you're kind of like not digesting the information that is given to you. You're just kind of reading it and then you put the book down and then you kind of forget everything that you've read. But this book was really, really good because the chapters are not too long, but they're not like short either. Like you can spend like a good 15-20 minutes reading a chapter, and I would read it on my way to work when I used to work at this different place, and it would be just the journey time of, on the tram, and it was really, really good because it helped me reflect every single day of what I was doing, and I could focus on that one thing. So for example, chapter 1, they don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. I would sit down, and on that day, if something happened that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to happen, or if my day didn't go the way I had originally planned it to be, and if I found myself sitting and thinking thoughts of, why does this always happen to me? I would stop myself immediately and say, okay, well, it happened. Is it something that you can change? If so, then do the action to change it. If not, then what can you learn from it? And if you learned your lesson, okay, great. If there's nothing really that you could take away from it, then put it aside, because you're not gonna sit in like the next 2 days just crying over something that you have absolutely no control over. So this book was really good, and the way that she wrote it was by using stories. So the first chapter talks about her life and how she lost her husband. He passed away, and how she didn't know how she would be able to carry on with her work, and because she's a therapist, and how can you help other people when you're feeling pain yourself. So she knew that she obviously needed to heal her for herself and not sit in self-pity because she's lost the love of her life and stuff. And she had the support of her family and her in-laws, and they created a wonderful memory of her late husband's life. He was an adventurous type, so every year on his birthday they would do an adventure activity, to celebrate him. Instead of, sitting down and feeling miserable and feeling like, what am I going to do now with my life? So I found it really good the way that she wrote by telling a story. She made it more personal. She made it in a way that you can understand, because we all go through, some form of tragedy that's painful, and the way that she wrote it makes it relatable. And I found that if something is relatable, you're going to listen and you're going to take it in better, rather than if it's just a checklist. So in every chapter, she either uses a story from herself, or from a client that she had, or from a friend that she had, or from a story that she heard from somebody else that told her, and she analyzes how that process went for that person and how that process went for her, and she puts that into the book. She does give tips about how not to do things, and I like how she does it, because it's not overwhelming the way that she does it. At the end of the book, I'll just try and find, through every chapter, at the end of it, she has what's helpful and what's not helpful in terms of the specificity of that chapter. So for this chapter, which is how not to feel sorry for yourself, what's helpful, she said, okay, give yourself a reality check so that you don't exaggerate how bad the situation actually is. And another one was to practice gratitude every day, which is something that I am highly 100% behind, because gratitude, it really changes your whole perspective on how great your life actually is compared to what you thought it might be. And then choose to actively problem solve and work on improving a situation. And then what's not helpful, that's not all of it, because I'm not going to obviously say absolutely everything, but what's not helpful is allowing yourself to believe that your life is worse than most people. So we all get stuck in comparison. We all go on Instagram and on TikTok and YouTube, and we watch people's lives and we see how their lives are, and we think, okay, their life is so much better than my life, and I'm not getting this because maybe I'm not as pretty as her, or maybe I I don't look like that person, or I don't have as much money as that person, and so on and so forth. And being stuck in comparison, honestly, is just like 100%, it is the, I'm trying to find a word, I'm lost for words, but it is 100% the recipe for making you sit in self-pity and making you not feel grateful for the things that you have. So yeah, she just gives like these little helpful tips at the end of every chapter that is not too daunting, that you can go away in your own life, and on that day you can analyze your own actions and your own thought patterns and see if this is actually what you're doing, so that when you find yourself doing it, you don't beat yourself up, but you're able to stop yourself from doing what it is that you're not supposed to do. So yeah, like I said, I found this really, really, really helpful. She also has some checklists in each of the chapters. So like on one chapter, she would say, okay, do you find yourself, I'm gonna find it. So yeah. So in chapter 2, they don't give away their power, like, so mentally strong people don't give away their power. She has a checklist, and you obviously, if you feel like you do this, you put a tick, and if you have a lot of ticks, then it's something that you need to work on. And some of the examples of it is that you feel deeply offended by any criticism or negative feedback that you receive, and if that is you check it. Another one is you work hard to ensure that other people see you as positive, because so much of your self-worth depends on other people's perception of you. Another point is you have difficulty setting boundaries, but then you feel resentful towards people who take up your time and energy. So this is in chapter 2, about not giving away your power to other people. So these checklists are really, really helpful, because you can sit down and read a chapter and say, this is not me, I don't do that, da, da, da. But then when you go to the checklist that she's put inside there, you're like, okay, I actually did this today, or last month I used to be like this with a colleague or with a sibling, and so on and so forth. And it really makes you be honest with yourself. And if you're wanting to improve, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to admit that you're not perfect, and that you do make mistakes, and that you do have insecurities, because we all do. We all have them. I have them also. So yeah, these checklists are really good. So she'll have them, and then she gives reasons why maybe you give your power away to people. So every chapter is kind of laid out in that way, where she'll explain what it is. She'll use an anecdote from her life or from someone close to her. She has the checklist so that you can check if this is something that you do. And then she has helpful tips towards the end of how to beat that certain, behavior or attitude. And overall, I think that this was a very, very good book. It wasn't boring to read, like it actually was very captivating, and oftentimes I would want to go on to the next chapter and want to read it all in one day, but I tried to be strict with myself so that I could actually digest the information that I was reading, to read one chapter per day, and then try and act accordingly to it. But yeah, that's what I thought of this book. And if it's something that you feel like you want to work on, then definitely I would recommend buying this book. I think it's also on Audible for Amazon, so you can listen to it as well if you're not that much of a reader. But yeah, some really, really helpful tips on how to become more mentally stronger, and how to kind of appreciate yourself and appreciate the things that you have in your life, respecting your boundaries and loving yourself and respecting other people and being happy for other people. One chapter that I did really, really like was, they're not like, it says here, excuse me, I'm just trying to find it. Yeah, they don't resent other people's success. And that I thought is a very good thing, because if you're happy for somebody who has become successful. They're also going to be happy for you when you become successful. And there's enough success around the world for everybody. Just because somebody has something doesn't mean that now it's taken away from you. My motto in life, and something that I also got away from this book, is that if it is meant for you, nobody can take it away from you. So why not just be happy when somebody else also is successful? So yeah. So this book again is called 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do by Amy Morin, and I would definitely recommend this. Not a difficult book to read, and some very, very, very helpful tips and anecdotes that are very relatable. So thank you guys, and I will see you on my next YouTube video. And if you have any recommendations on books that you want me to read and to give a review, please comment down below to let me know. If you want more information from books and you want me to go more into depth about different books and how to do that, let me know. Also leave that all in the comment below, and I'll have a read and I'll see what I can do. But other than that, I wish you all a very wonderful day, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.